So here we are talking about the impact, and we had this great call about the science. And I, a real medical doctor, just like Dr. Esther, a lot of us people are like, well, why would you do this? You already were what some people would say successful, right? There's so many people that already have what we think to be successful careers. And we're like, why would you change your mind to do that? Because I have more of a desire to have an impact. It wasn't just about making a bunch of money. That was never an issue for me. I want to see people's lives changed, and being a physician, taking care of patients, and them always on medications, that was not giving me the same thing. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And it took my whole life changing. It took me going through a divorce and literally on my back, looking up, because that's the only time you really look up when you're on your back, when you get knocked on your back. And I said, okay, what does Tiffany want? Not wife, not Dr. Tiffany, not Mama Tiffany. What do I want? What makes me happy? And what makes me happy is seeing people get their lives back. Seeing people walk around like Marie was on the call talking about PCOS, and Dennis, now he's jumping around and doing skating like he wasn't before. Seeing people get their lives back, and then seeing people also get their financial security back. And so, I have someone who's been able to pay for her daughter's wedding. I'm actually here to help her do that. I helped her do that. How awesome is that? I've been able to make enough to leave doing traditional medicine to do this full time. There's so many people either making Disney money or take over their life money. And so I've been blessed to be able to help and work with people, even like Johnny, who's going to come on and tell his story, who's been able to make a whole change by just incorporating what he's doing with us. And then on top of that, the psychic income, being able to help people get their lives back. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want those messages? And yes, green looks good, like Dr. Esther said. It does look good. It looks good. But this psychic income thing is everything. So without further ado, I want to add Johnny here and get him to share his business story, because I think a lot of times we miss the fact that people are hurting, not just by their health, but they're hurting financially, especially now. If you don't have something secondarily, if you don't have something in the works, you're going to wish you did. Our whole situation is changing. So having something that allows us to prepare is huge. So thank you, Johnny, for agreeing to come on and sharing, what you've been doing and why this has been a great change for you, great addition to your life.
Well, thank you both for having me on the call. It's always exciting getting the opportunity just to share some of the experiences that have got us to this particular point. For me, I was an engineer, for almost 30 years, and I've been in the hustle and grind and constantly, my wife and I used to have a tussle because I would not only have my personal cell phone, but I also had that electronic leash because as a project manager, we always had to be on call, just because of the military aspect of what I worked in. And so we were always, even if I was on vacation, it was something in the back of my mind, like, man, we got to take care of this. And I knew that if something were to come up and they needed me to answer a question, if I didn't respond in any timely fashion, that's days that would pass before anything would move. And so it was kind of tied to my work, taking a computer, taking two computers on trips and whatnot, just because, just being there to keep things going. And so I realized that, if we were to stay in that vein, I was really just trading time for dollars, from that aspect. And I've been in a place where I could have, my cubicles, my coworkers, and people who have been there for, a lot longer than I had been there. And we were all at the same grade. So I kind of knew, like, if I stay here any longer, unless I took a promotion or I left, take another job somewhere else, I could see my future right across the cubicle from me. And I'm like, okay, well, how long can I do that? Because they were making more than I was making right now. And with that, we were all about, lifestyle and being able to do the things we wanted to do when we wanted to do them. It was always my rule of thumb is that that's how much money I wanted to make. I could do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do without asking somebody for permission to get off or looking at my account every few seconds. And so those are some things that were just, kind of dear to me, but we were comfortable. And I tell people sometimes comfortable is that space that's most dangerous a lot of times. And we had some friends because we've been in this space, nutrition space for a little over 20 years, just helping people where it came. And so that was kind of like my wife and I, would do. I would go to work, but, she would be helping, kids and adults and other people in the nutrition space. And one day, a friend of ours who had been in the same business with us came to us and said, you know what we're doing is really helping people. But what we're doing right now is helping us on so much more of a dramatic level. And so she was an engineer making like well into six figures. And my wife told her, hey, once you leave your job, make us believer because we were already at the top of a company and didn't want to just logistically, transition like that because it just didn't kind of make sense. But believe it or not, like in 9 months, she calls him like, "Hey, I just put my resignation papers in." Now, from one engineer to another, I knew I wasn't making half of what she was making, but I was like, if she put her resignation papers in, we at least need to take some note of what she's doing and pay attention. And sure enough, um, we took a look. My wife put her dad and her aunt onto the product, and to see someone making almost a quarter million dollars walk away from that to do this business, I was like, if she can do that, I don't even have to make that much to make a transition in my life. And believe it or not, we got on board with the product. We saw that it was working because that was the one thing out of my mouth was, does it work? If I'm going to put my name on something, I knew it had to work. And it's something I could stand behind. And lo and behold, not only was it working, in the first 10, 30 days, the first 30 days, I lost like 10 pounds and a couple of inches. And I was like, okay, that was pretty good. And then I started talking to people and kind of on a call like you all are now. Someone shared some stories, and I was like, that is unbelievable about what it's doing with people's body. We were in the metabolic health space. And we went out to Vegas. I was meeting some people, and I saw people losing hundreds of pounds. I saw people who had been on metformin and other medications for 10, 20, 25 years, and they were coming off. And the doctors were like, hey, your numbers are good now. And I said, in our communities, we need this more than most. And I knew to make a very big difference, we needed to solve a very big problem. And so since that's the space that we were in, it gave me the ability to actually, share it with a few people. They started having great results. And lo and behold, we just started sharing it with more and more people living our lives as we were. And it got to the point where we were basically replacing my six-figure income by just working the same business. And so in about I don't even know if it was a whole year, I was able to walk off my six-figure job, and so following my sponsor, Dr. Tiffany Marie, it was kind of like your passion, your calling, does play a part in that. And so I have been able to not only leave my job, but help others successfully do that too. And I tell people, you don't need necessarily age to retire, you need money. And so retire early gave me some freedom that I didn't have. It gave me a peace of mind where when we take trips now, I'm not taking two laptops, I'm not taking two cell phones. And it took a while to get used to that, but lo and behold, it was something that was like freeing and refreshing. And now I get a chance to actually travel the country, working with my team in different places, and we are literally helping people who will be on the verge of, getting amputated limbs or having back surgeries. The doctors are like, your body is healing, so let's hold off on that. And now I'm helping them make income to whereby it gives them some peace of mind, some flexibility where they couldn't go on vacations. They couldn't take that extra date night. Now that additional income coming in is making that kind of difference to them. And so I tell people, if an extra couple $100 will change your life, we're doing that. If an extra $1,000 or $2 a month comes in, we're doing that. We're up to the point where $10,000 a month would do that. We are significantly making a difference to the point where not only are we making a living, we're making a life. And so we are so excited about the lives that we're transforming, not only just on a health standpoint, but on a financial standpoint, to be able to do things and leave legacy and generational wealth that many people only dream of. Or, I told myself I didn't want to be that 70-year-old person at Walmart, greeting people, at the door. I wanted to be able to do the things I wanted to do when I could, and this business has afforded me the opportunity to actually do that, and actually duplicate that transfer with others.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
The best part I think you said about that, Johnny, was you're not only making a living, you're making a life.
Mhm.
Yes. Love it, love it, love it. Well, okay, because I don't want to hold people up because I know on the East Coast it's getting late for y'all. So let's look at what we're talking about. What is this business we are talking about? And let's look at how this whole generational wealth actually works, because that's what we're talking about. Now, we talked about this in detail in that last call. So in order to have any business, I started a practice. You need to know what are you dealing with? What are you bringing? You have to be addressing a problem. And so we have a large problem, and we went into a lot of detail with this on the science call. So please reach out to the person, if you're looking at this recording, who has the science call, for them to get that to you too, because I'm not going to dig that much into this. But we have a solution for this big problem that is affecting 93% of Americans in that last 2022 study, okay? And it has more than 20 clinical studies. It's HSA and FSA qualified. It's in 65 countries. It's patented and guaranteed. Okay. And it's in the physician's desk reference. And you have plenty of pharmaceuticals, drugs that are in there. You can, and in fact, now we don't have to have these books. I used to have these books in my office. Like I used to have a whole bookcase of these PDRs, as we used to call them. But now it's on the internet. You can look up PDR.net. But when you type up a medication, or you can type up any medication, put it in there, and you'll find it. Lisinopril, metformin. You'll see its side effects. You'll see the dosing. And then you can try to put in supplements. Try to put in Herbalife. You're not going to find anything for Herbalife. Try to put in GNC. Not going to find anything. But you will find these products, Unicity Balance, Unicity Unimatate, in that PDR.net, which is huge. And you don't see any side effects, okay? You see the link to the studies. You see what they do. Because without them, you don't get that you don't get that dampening effect on that glucose spike and that insulin spike. On the protocol, that's when you see that improve, and it allows us to address that big, huge problem. And we're just dealing with two products. Two products is what we're dealing with, okay? Now, when you're dealing with any type of business, because when you decide that this is something you want to be a part of, you're building your own business. We work as a team, but it is your business at the end of the day. You need to understand what's your competition. Like when I started my private practice, I did a whole search. Now, how many Black women physicians are in this area or in a certain mile radius? Yeah, I did all that because I wanted to know, who was I going to be competing with? I wanted to know if I was bringing value. And so understanding that, yeah, we bring plenty of value. This is a nutraceutical. This is a natural product that's dealing with cholesterol. So then it's competing with statins, a prescription drug, the leading prescription drug. And that prescription drug has a lot of side effects, and lots of people don't want to keep taking it. Metformin, the leading drug for type 2 diabetes. This is competing with that too. But you have so many people that don't want to be on that medication. They'd rather do something natural. They'd rather deal with their lifestyle. Ozempic, those shots that everybody and their mom is taking. But yeah, you can boost it naturally. And then bariatric surgery. That's not competition at all. Because I mean, really, when is ever surgery competition to a natural lifestyle change? Like never. But how does this end up turning into residual income? Well, first, let's talk about how you even get just direct income. You'll get $20 to $25 per 1 month order from anyone who purchased the product from you or uses your referral link, would be a better term. It's $25 in the US, it's $20 in Canada or Mexico, okay? So you, if you choose, okay, I like this, you would be a franchise owner. And so you would tell Bob about this. Bob, you got to look at this product. It's getting people off of blood pressure, diabetes medications. You got to see it. And Bob's like, yes, I want this. Bob orders it. He ends up saying, oh my gosh, this is good stuff. Let me tell Sue about it. He tells Sue. Okay, when he tells Sue, he gets a $10 credit, which is great. That's just like, that's wonderful. Now that decrease my monthly cost, right? That's what Bob's thinking. And then Sue says, oh, I love this. I got to tell Joe and Jill. Well, when she tells Joe and Jill, she gets a $10 credit from Joe and Jill. But you notice Bob doesn't get any of that. He told Sue about it, but that's where his credit stops. Well, you as the franchise owner, you get $25 from Bob, then Sue, then Joe, then Jill. And I have plenty of customers who are like, no, I'm just going to keep referring it and keep spreading the word for you. And I'm able to actually get the $25 while they just get their credit, and they're okay with that. Well, lots of people want to actually build their own income. And so being the franchise owner, that allows you to get the lion's share of that, because the reality is you got the party started. And so as far as residuals, you see how we looked at Bob. Bob was level 1. So what you do on that level 1, that's that first person you refer to, you get a 5 to 10% override on their customer sales. Okay. And then level 2 would be Sue. Okay, she's level 2. You get a 5 to 10% override on her customer sales. Level 3 would be Joe and Jill, 5 to 10%. And then 4 through, 6, you get 5%. And then 7 through 9, you get 3%. And 10 through 12, you get 1%, up to 12 levels deep, up to 12 levels out from you. You're able to get an override on the customer sales. And notice I said customer sales. This isn't you're getting paid on people joining your team. No, you're getting an override on the customer sales. So each product that's actually helping someone improve their cholesterol, their diabetes, their blood pressure, their PCOS, you're actually getting a part of that. Okay. That's where the residual nature of this comes from. And so, how do you get involved in this? If you see this and you're like, oh, this sounds like something I want to be a part of, I can actually see myself doing this. Well, the 10 customer model is the best way to jump in. One, you get a 10 pack. So 10 boxes of a monthly kit. So 10 monthly kits. It's kind of like buying in bulk, going to Costco, getting your pack of paper towels. Well, you're getting 10 of these. And this is the only time you would need to buy in bulk, so to speak. But that investment of those 10 boxes, which is $15.49 plus shipping and handling, so around $1,700 for a lot of people, that 10 boxes, you end up selling to 10 people. Okay. And so you actually recoup your investment. See, I started a practice. I didn't recoup my investment. I was in the red for a couple of years. Any business owners understand you don't get that investment back that quickly. Usually it takes about 3 to 5 years to actually get out of the red and be a profitable business. Okay. This, all you have to do is sell those 10 boxes and bam, you're back out of the red. That is huge when you're starting a business. But once you do that and make that 10 box commitment and just do that order, it actually unlocks the custom link. It unlocks the fulfillment that the company does, the back office. You don't have to package things on your own. The people use your referral link and then they get it from the company. Customer service, you don't have to be involved in that other than what you want to be involved in. And then when you do decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do, you get the team support. Okay, we have a proven system on how to make this work on social media, how to supercharge on social media from all the things we've learned from our mistakes, from things we've learned from what we've invested in, and we bring that knowledge back. We have a whole platform to where you can study on your own time and figure out if this works for you. And we have customer coaching, support, and we have weekly classes that anybody can plug into, like even these calls, anybody can plug into. So it's not just on you to actually make this business go. And so leveraged income. So this is income that you didn't have to do directly. Okay, how do we get this to leverage? Well, you come in as a 10 pack partner, and what you do is you end up getting 10 customers from those 10 boxes. Okay, those are your first 10 customers, people that are trying to develop with you. That is huge. Well, if you can teach 5 people how to turn their 10 boxes into 10 customers, you're now making $500. Okay. And then if you can teach those same 5 people to do the same thing, teach people how to make 10 customers, now you're making $2,000. Okay. And then you turn around and teach all those people to teach 5 more people. Now you're looking at 8,700 per month, which ends up being a 6-figure salary. Now, of course, there's going to be, some things that may not be perfect because nothing's going to be perfect. But as you can see, it still is progress and income. Okay. And this can either be Disney money or this can be change my life money. Okay. So the question becomes when you look at something like this, what excites you? What gives you joy? Is it the idea of being able to help somebody, one, get their life back and just be directly involved with somebody? Or is it the fact that you can help build a team? You can help people not just make a living, but make a life. Make a life, make the life they were dreaming for or envisioning for themselves. If one of those things actually touches you and makes you decide, okay, this is what I like. The great thing about this is very easy. You just get back to the person who invited you to this call, who gave you this recording, and you figure out what your next steps are. So I am enjoying every minute of this. Dr. Esther, what would be your parting words? Because I actually just kind of ran and did all of that, didn't I? I didn't let you get in there at all. So let me let
Yeah,
Dr. Esther get in there.
that's good. You see, that's the way Dr. Tiffany goes. Once she gets going, it's a mile a minute. But that's what I love about her. But anyway, Dr. Tiffany talked about, like what excites you. And I would say this, just like the products where you come in for one thing, your pain point, and then discover that, oh, it actually helps with all these many other things. It's the same thing with a business. You come in because you want to help people, and then you're like, oh, there's all this other good stuff. There's this community of people. There's all these new skills I'm learning that you can apply anywhere, not just to the business here. You can apply them to any other aspect of your life, any other business you may have out there. There's, you get money. The reward trips. There's just the personal development that comes with everything. So whatever it is that excites you, use that as your entry point, and then you'll come in and find that there's so much more. than what you are coming in for. But just like we said with the product, do something. This is the same thing I'll say with this one, join in. Because if you look back at that list of the problems, I know, at least 10. And by 10, I'm being very economical. I'm sure we all know, there's 93% of people in the US in North America who are metabolically unhealthy. If at least you leave your house and walk around, you've met probably in the hundreds of people who could use this. But you're probably thinking of at least 10 to 20 that you could immediately tell about this. And they could tell their 10 to 20. So start the chain.
Yeah, start the chain. There's two types of people. I like to say that there's two types of people. People listen to this type of information and they're like, oh, I'm gonna sit on it. Maybe it's not for me. And then there's the other person that's like, I'm taking action. I know too many people struggling. I don't want to keep seeing that. And I want to play a role in that. And I also want to do something for me. I want to be able to not be living paycheck to paycheck. I want to be able to have a secondary income that if I decide I want to do a vacation with my girlfriend, my hubby, my spouse, I can do it. So it's that flexibility, it's that freedom. I don't want to be bound to a 9 to 5. I don't want to be bound to a boss telling me what to do, but I also don't want to have to worry about the overhead of a business. And so if you start thinking about those things and that relates to you, then you're in the right place.
And in this day and age, you probably need gas money because, oh my gosh, I fueled my car yesterday and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's what we need to start saying. Forget Disney money, gas money.
Gas money. Yeah, you just need gas money because, oh my gosh, those prices, no. They're not friendly at all. So yeah.
They aren't friendly. They aren't friendly. But you know what is friendly? It's the time we get to spend with each other, helping so many people. So I would do this all over again. If I had to make a decision. Hope I don't ever have to.
Yeah.
And all this time is very special that I get to spend with you, Dr. Esther. Thank you so much.
Yep. And I would do this all over again next week. On Wednesday, we'll be right back here talking about the same thing. So,
yeah, literally.
Yeah, definitely talking about this. We'll be right here next Wednesday. Invite your friends, invite anybody you think who could use this. They don't have to be friends. They will become friends once you help them because I don't think anybody ever, looks down upon the person that helped them. If you know anybody who could use this, even if you just usually say a cursory hello, just invite them, let them hear this, share this information. You just don't know what kind of impact you may have. And it may just not be on that one person because, as we said, health and wealth can be generational. So you don't know by just improving that person's health what you could trigger, what kind of cascade you could trigger down, the generations to come or the people around them right now. So just invite, do your part.
Yes. Yep, do your part. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for staying on this second half of the call. We appreciate you and we hope you have a wonderful night. See you next week.
See you.